Let's build the foundation first, because without this, the rest of the video is just a list of complaints. Retinol, all trans retinol, is a photolabile molecule. Photolabile means it degrades when exposed to light. Specifically, UV radiation breaks the carbon double bonds in the retinol molecule, converting it into biologically inactive isomers. Retinol that has been exposed to light is not weaker retinol. It is chemically altered retinol. It is a different molecule, and that different molecule has zero clinical evidence behind it for anti-aging results. Zero. The second enemy of retinol is oxygen. Oxidation begins the moment air contacts the formula. Every time you open a jar, unscrew a cap, or press a non-airtight pump, a fresh wave of oxygen enters the product. The retinol begins to convert. Independent stability testing has consistently shown that retinol in clear glass bottles loses up to 40% of its potency within the first month of use alone. In wide-mouth jars, where your fingers introduce both air and bacteria with every scoop, the degradation curve is even steeper. Here is the economic reality of what this means. You buy a $200 retinol serum in a clear glass bottle. You use it every night. By week 3, you are applying a formula that has lost a significant fraction of its active retinol concentration. Not because the formula was bad, but because the packaging guaranteed it would fail. The brand charged you $200 for an ingredient they then packaged in a way that guaranteed it would not last. And they knew this. Every cosmetic chemist in the industry knows this. The choice to use clear glass, wide-mouth jars, and non-airtight packaging is a cost and aesthetic decision dressed as product design. The solution? Opaque packaging, airless pump mechanisms, sealed amber glass, has existed for decades. The brands that use it are choosing science. The brands that don't are choosing Instagram. Sunday Riley built its entire retinol reputation on one word: high dose. The A+ high-dose retinoid serum. The name alone is designed to signal that this product is serious. Clinical grade, professional strength, not for the casual consumer. At roughly $97 for an ounce, it prices itself accordingly. And then it ships to you in a clear glass dropper bottle. Let's talk about what a dropper bottle actually does to a retinol formula. Every single time you use the product, you squeeze the rubber bulb at the top of the pipette and draw liquid up into the glass tube. Then you release the bulb. And as you release, the formula inside the bottle is exposed to the air that rushes back in to fill the vacuum. Over and over, use after use, fresh oxygen is actively drawn into the bottle by the dropper mechanism itself. The dropper is not just failing to protect the formula from oxidation, it is mechanically accelerating it. This is not a marginal problem. This is a fundamental design failure for any product claiming retinoid efficacy. Now add the clear glass to that equation. Clear glass provides zero UV protection. Every hour this bottle sits on your bathroom shelf, whether in ambient light from a window, from overhead bathroom lighting, or from morning sunlight. The retinol inside is being hit by light energy that is chemically altering the molecule. Independent consumer lab testing using HPLC methods on clear packaged prestige retinol serums has repeatedly found that actual retinol content falls dramatically below claimed levels after weeks of normal consumer use. The dropper bottle you're using every night is not delivering the high-dose retinoid the label promises. It is delivering a declining, degrading fraction of it. The irony here is almost too much. Sunday, Riley also fails the concentration transparency test. The brand advertises a 6.5% retinoid blend without disclosing the actual percentage of bioavailable retinol in that blend. So the product starts with a marketing number rather than a clinical dosing number, then packages that already ambiguous formula in a container designed to destroy whatever retinoid activity does exist. At $97 an ounce, this is not a minor oversight. It is a compounding of failures that the consumer is paying premium prices to receive. The formula itself, retinol esters, encapsulated retinol, blue-green algae, is not the problem. The problem is that the molecule and the packaging that protects it are the only things that actually matter for results. Sunday Riley got the marketing right and the chemistry container catastrophically wrong. Tatcha has built one of the most emotionally resonant brand identities in luxury skincare. The story is Japanese beauty ritual. Centuries of wisdom distilled into silk-wrapped packaging, ceremonial scoops, and products that feel like an act of self-care rather than a skincare step. And it works. Tatcha commands fierce loyalty, a devoted community, and prices that reflect the premium of its aesthetic world-building. The Luminance Creme retails at over $100, and it comes in a wide-mouth jar. I want to be precise about what a wide-mouth jar does to a retinol formula, Because Tatcha's audience deserves to understand exactly what the ritual they are paying for is costing them scientifically. Every time you open that jar, you are exposing the entire surface area of the formula to atmospheric oxygen, not a thin stream through a pump nozzle. The full top of the product open to the air, and then you reach a finger or spatula in, displacing more air, introducing surface bacteria, and creating a small depression in the cream that increases the exposed surface area for the next use. Over weeks and months of daily use, the top layer of your cream, the layer you are repeatedly scooping from, is the most oxidized, most degraded part of the formula. The retinol you are applying is not the retinol the brand formulated. It is what is left after atmospheric exposure did its work. Tatcha's acquisition by Unilever for a reported $500 million placed the brand inside one of the world's largest consumer goods companies, a company with access to world-class formulation, science, and packaging engineering. The technology to protect retinol from oxidation is not exotic. Airless pumps, opaque tubes, sealed dispensers, these exist. Unilever manufactures products using all of them across other brands in its portfolio. The choice to keep Tatcha's retinol in wide-mouth jars is not a formulation limitation. It is a brand identity decision. The jar is the ritual. The ritual is the product. The retinol inside the jar is secondary to the experience of opening it. For a consumer spending over $100 on retinol, the knowledge that the packaging ritual they are paying for is simultaneously degrading the active ingredient they are paying for is information the brand has never chosen to share. Drunk Elephant occupies a fascinating and frustrating position in the retinol packaging conversation because the brand actually gets so many things right and then undermines those right decisions with one critical wrong one. The brand's overall packaging philosophy is thoughtful. Most of their products use opaque tubes, pumps, and sealed dispensers. They clearly understand the principle of protecting active ingredients from environmental degradation. This makes the A Passioni retinol cream's packaging decision not just disappointing, it is inexplicable. The A Passioni formula is genuinely well conceived. 1% vegan retinol, a full clinical dose, combined with marula and jojoba oils to buffer the irritation that high concentration retinol can cause. The formula represents real formulation intelligence. Drunk Elephant knew what concentration of retinol mattered. They knew what supporting ingredients would make it tolerable. And then they put it in a jar. A wide mouth open to the air, oxygen-flooding jar. Drunk Elephant was acquired by Shiseido for $845 million in 2019. Shiseido is one of the world's most sophisticated skincare research companies. Their internal research and development has produced advanced encapsulation technologies, stability-optimized packaging systems, and formulas that have maintained retinol potency over extended periods. The scientific expertise to protect retinol from oxidation exists within Shiseido's own laboratories. The decision not to transfer that packaging intelligence to the A Passioni formula post-acquisition is a choice that the consumer who spends $74 on this jar is paying for it without knowing it. 1% retinol in a jar that oxidizes. It is not 1% retinol by the time you reach the bottom. The brand earned its valuation by understanding ingredients. It then packaged the most sensitive of those ingredients in the most oxygen-permissive container available. The gap between the formulation intelligence and the packaging intelligence here is the consumer's loss. Kate Somerville's Plus Retinol Vita C Power serum represents a special category of packaging failure. 1. That goes beyond simply packaging retinol incorrectly and enters the territory of combining two of skincare's most unstable active ingredients in the worst possible container for either of them. Retinol and vitamin C, specifically. Ascorbic acid are two of the most clinically validated anti-aging actives in skincare. The evidence for both is substantial. Retinol drives cell turnover and collagen synthesis. L-ascorbic acid provides antioxidant protection, inhibits melanin production, and has its own collagen-stimulating properties. Used together in a well-formulated, well-packaged product, they represent a genuinely powerful combination. The formula Kate Somerville is attempting to create here is not stupid. The packaging it is delivered in is a clear glass dropper bottle. Both retinol and L-ascorbic acid together in a transparent container with a dropper mechanism that actively draws air into the formula with every use. Ascorbic acid is perhaps even more unstable than retinol when exposed to light and oxygen. It oxidizes to dehydroascorbic acid, which not only loses its efficacy but can actually generate free radicals on the skin rather than neutralizing them. A vitamin C serum that has turned orange is not a weaker vitamin C serum. It is a pro-oxidant. It is actively working against you. So what does Kate Somerville's clear glass dropper deliver? Retinol that is degrading from light, and oxygen exposure simultaneously with vitamin C that is doing the same, and potentially converting into a compound that produces the exact skin damage these ingredients are supposed to prevent. At the price point this product commands, the consumer deserves to know that the beautiful amber serum in that clear glass bottle has a shelf life that the packaging is actively shortening every single day. Peter Thomas Roth. Retinol Fusion PM contains 1.5% retinol. That is a clinically significant concentration, toward the high end of what is available in over-the-counter retinol products and genuinely capable of producing measurable, anti-aging results when delivered to the skin in an intact, potent form. The formula also includes niacinamide, vitamin C, and E as antioxidant stabilizers and encapsulated retinol technology for gradual delivery. On paper, this is a formula that represents real investment in active ingredient quality. Then look at the bottle, clear pump packaging, a transparent plastic bottle that allows ambient light, bathroom light, window light, vanity light, to reach the formula every hour of every day it sits on your shelf. The pump mechanism is better than a dropper. There is no pipette drawing air back into the formula with each use, but the fundamental problem of UV exposure through clear packaging remains entirely unsolved. Peter Thomas. Roth specifically included vitamins C and E in this formula as antioxidant stabilizers, ingredients designed to slow the oxidation of the retinol. This is a formulation-level acknowledgement that retinol is unstable and needs chemical protection. The brand solved half the problem. They added molecular antioxidants inside the bottle. And then they put the bottle in clear packaging, allowing continuous UV exposure to work against both the retinol and the stabilizing antioxidants simultaneously. You are buying a formula that is fighting itself. The antioxidants are being depleted, protecting the retinol from degradation. The packaging is allowing to happen. At 1.5% concentration, this formula had real potential. The difference between 1.5% retinol in opaque packaging and 1.5% retinol in clear packaging, after 2 months of daily use, is not a small difference. It is the difference between a formula performing at its clinical potential and a formula performing at a fraction of it. Peter Thomas Roth invested in the concentration. The packaging is spending that investment down. Murad is a brand founded by a dermatologist, Dr. Howard Murad, and built on the premise that skincare should be grounded in medical science. This positioning makes the Retinol Youth Renewal Serum's packaging decision particularly worth examining, because the brand's credibility rests on the claim that it understands how skin and skincare ingredients actually work. The formula is genuinely sophisticated. Murad uses what it calls a tri-retinol complex: fast-acting retinol, time-release encapsulated retinol, and retinol booster (HASI), designed to provide a graduated spectrum of delivery speeds to minimize irritation while maximizing efficacy over time. The encapsulation technology is real and represents a meaningful formulation investment. Time-release retinol capsules do reduce irritation. They do extend the window of active delivery. This is good formulation science, and it comes in a clear pump bottle. Here is the specific problem with encapsulated retinol in clear packaging that the Murad brand, as a dermatologist-founded company, almost certainly knows about. Encapsulation protects retinol from direct contact with the skin surface during initial application, releasing it gradually as the capsule structure breaks down. What encapsulation does not do is protect retinol from photodegradation. While the formula is sitting in a clear bottle on a shelf, the encapsulating shell is designed to respond to skin chemistry and pressure, not to block UV radiation. Light penetrates the clear bottle, reaches the encapsulating shells, and depending on the shell composition, can begin degrading the retinol inside even before the capsule is broken. The encapsulation is a delivery mechanism. It is not a packaging substitute. A dermatologist-founded brand formulating a tri-retinol complex with time-release encapsulation and then packaging it in clear glass is a contradiction that the brand's own scientific positioning should not permit. The investment in the formula is real. The packaging undermines it. Lancôme Rénergie Multi-Lift Retinol arrives in packaging that is genuinely beautiful. A thick glass base, a heavy metal lid. The satisfying weight of the jar in your hands communicates premium quality before you have opened it. At over $100 a jar, every tactile detail is designed to justify that price. And the experience of using it delivers on that aesthetic promise completely. The ritual of unscrewing that heavy lid, the substantial feel of the jar on a marble bathroom counter, these are not accidental. They are the product. And every single time you unscrew that heavy metal lid, atmospheric oxygen floods into the formula at the surface. The weight of the lid, the premium glass, the beautiful presentation, none of these protect the retinol from oxidation. In fact, the wide-mouth design that makes the jar feel so luxurious and accessible maximizes the surface area of retinol formula exposed to oxygen with every opening. The heavier and more beautiful the lid, the more satisfying the ritual of opening it. And the more satisfying the ritual, the more often you engage in it, and the more oxygen exposure events occur. Lancôme sits within the L'Oréal portfolio, the largest beauty company in the world, with access to more formulation science and packaging engineering than virtually any other company on the planet. L'Oréal's research division has published extensively on retinol stability, encapsulation technologies, and packaging optimization for sensitive actives. The company manufactures retinol products in airless, UV protective packaging under other brand names in its portfolio. The decision to package Lancôme Rénergie in a wide-mouth luxury jar is not a limitation of knowledge or access. It is a brand positioning decision. The jar is the luxury signal. The heavy lid is the premium communication device. The retinol inside is secondary to the experience of the container. For consumers spending over $100 on a retinol product, the question deserves to be asked directly. How much of that purchase price represents the weight of the jar? And how much represents retinol that will still be active when you reach the halfway point of the product? Olay Regenerist Retinol Uni4 is worth examining, separately from the luxury brands, on this list because it represents a different kind of packaging failure and one with a different scale of consequence and a different set of excuses available to the brand. Olay is a mass market product. The Retinol 24 jar retails for around $30 at drugstores across the country, reaching millions of consumers who are using this as their entry point into retinol skincare. The formula itself is reasonably conceived for the price point. Retinol combined with niacinamide, vitamin B5, and aminopeptides. A thoughtful supporting cast for the retinol active. The 24-hour hydration claim is backed by the moisturization ingredients in the formula. At $30, Olay is delivering genuine formulation effort. And then it puts all of that into a clear jar. The clear jar problem at the mass market level is both more forgivable and more consequential than at the luxury level. More forgivable because margin pressure at the $30 price point creates real constraints on packaging investment. The cost difference between a clear jar and an opaque airless pump, while small per unit at luxury volumes, represents a proportionally larger percentage of the retail price at mass market scale. The business pressure to use cheaper packaging is real and understandable. More consequential because Olay's scale means this packaging decision affects tens of millions of consumers, most of whom have no idea that the clear jar they are using is degrading the retinol they bought it for. Olay is owned by Procter & Gamble, one of the most sophisticated consumer goods companies in the world, with extensive proprietary research on ingredient stability, packaging optimization, and consumer product performance. P&G has the scientific knowledge to understand the retinol degradation problem in clear jar packaging. The resources to implement opaque packaging at scale are not beyond a company of this size. The choice to use clear jar packaging on a retinol product with this distribution footprint is a cost optimization decision that the millions of consumers using this product as their retinol introduction are paying for unknowingly every single day. Now the good news. Because the same industry that produces the packaging failures also produces the solutions. A small number of brands have chosen science over aesthetics, and their results prove it was the right choice. Paula's Choice. 1% Retinol Booster is the clearest case study in packaging philosophy done correctly. Airless pump, fully opaque packaging, no light penetration, no air exposure. An independent stability test in 2019 confirmed 98% retinol potency maintained 6 months after opening. 98%. That number is not a marketing claim. It is a measured result from independent testing. The retinol you apply in month 6 is essentially identical in potency to what you applied in week 1. At 58, you're not paying for a jar or a ritual or a story. You are paying for a molecule that survives long enough to work. SkinCeuticals Retinol, say 0.5, takes a different route to the same destination. Time-release microencapsulation, patented in 2003, wraps the retinol in microscopic shells that break down gradually across the night, releasing the active in controlled doses rather than all at once. The packaging is opaque. The encapsulation is a delivery enhancement, not a packaging substitute. But combined with proper, opaque packaging, it represents the most complete stability approach on the market. A 12-week clinical trial showed results comparable to prescription tretinoin at 0.25% strength, with 60% less irritation. That result was achieved because the retinol was still there, still intact, still active. That La Roche-Posay Retinol B3 serum at $44.99 combines 0.3% pure retinol with niacinamide in an opaque sealed tube. The 2020 Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology study showing 31% wrinkle depth reduction at 12 weeks was not just a formula achievement, it was a packaging achievement. The retinol arrived at the study participants' skin at the stated concentration because the tube kept it alive. The clinical result and the packaging are inseparable. Darossi, retinol correction. Deep Wrinkle Night Cream has been on drugstore shelves since 1995. 30 years of continuous consumer repurchase is not marketing. At 0.1% retinol in opaque tube packaging, backed by a 2007 British Journal of Dermatology clinical study, ROC demonstrates that doing the basics correctly, the right concentration, the right packaging, the published data, produces results that keep consumers coming back for 3 decades. Here is the test I promised. 3 questions. Go check your retinol right now. First, can you see through the packaging? If yes, light is reaching your retinol every hour it sits on your shelf. Second, does it require opening a wide-mouth lid? If yes, oxygen is flooding the formula every single use. Third, has the color changed since you first opened it? Fresh retinol is pale yellow to colorless. Oxidized retinol turns orange then brown. If your $100 anti-aging serum has turned orange, you are not applying retinol. You are applying the chemical aftermath of retinol that didn't survive its own packaging. 8 brands on this list chose beautiful containers over stable molecules. A small handful chose the molecule. The difference in your results is not about what you spent. It is about whether what you bought was still alive when you applied it. The molecule and the packaging that protects it are all that matter. Everything else, the weight of the jar, the ritual of the lid, the frosted glass, the velvet box, is theater. Subscribe if this changed how you will shop for retinol. The next video exposes the vitamin C stability lie, and it makes the packaging problem look like a minor inconvenience by comparison.